I used to have this old economy teacher that said that there's no greater sign of confidence than inviting the competition to the table. And Xbox just got under the sheets with theirs. And no, I'm not talking about Halo on PS5. I'm not talking about the fact that Steam is coming to Xbox in the next generation. No, they are inviting all the competition because the next Xbox is going to run on Windows. And the thing is, there's this other interesting side to that expression, and that's that the line between confidence and stupidity is maybe one extra shot. And I personally saw Xbox swerving on their way out of the bar. All of this if Xbox is even a thing anymore, because Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella spoke out on the topic, and at no point was the word Xbox mentioned. It was all about Windows gaming. It's all about running Xbox as an application, as a platform on Windows and pretty much any other operating system that they can get their hands on. Except that there will be dedicated next-gen hardware for Xbox that runs as an Xbox, not like the ROG Ally X. This would actually run Xbox games natively, but also is just a PC running Windows. Oh, and it'd be very expensive, at least by console standards, although I guess that is changing every day. The whole thing is ballsy, confusing, dangerous, and probably a total nightmare. But it's not without some merit. There are some interesting things happening here, a lot of them referring to what we could get out of it as customers. Mostly because if they're inviting all competition, they definitely need to provide an actual good product. But that's if they can even get there. We now know that a lot of the terrible decisions coming from Xbox have to do with Microsoft demanding a 30% profit margin from the gaming division, which is not a normal amount, by the way. That's way high. And we also now know that apparently what they consider to be the competition to Xbox isn't the PlayStation or the Switch. They consider it to be short-form video. And as a literal statement, incredibly stupid. Metaphorically, though, extrapolated into the current world we live in, actually really on point and smart. It's just that I don't know if I want to attribute it to like them being actually smart and not knowing how to express this in the correct way, or if they just happened onto something smart, like by accident. And all of that is combined with Xbox Game Pass and its prices going up, the future of services and video game ownership, and also Xbox releasing 3 pretty banger games this month. And I want to talk about all of this. There is a lot going on, and I want to put it all into one video. So strap in, because like there's a lot going on, but there's chapters down below in case you care more about one specific thing or another. But before we do, hi, I'm Mug, and if you're new here, welcome. And if you're not new here, welcome back. It's great to see you. If you like the video at any point, hit the like button. Helps the video spread farther, helps it cut through the noise and the chaos of the YouTube algorithm. If you really like the way that I talk about gaming and the industry and stuff that's going on, consider subscribing. Helps a ton, and it's completely free. Speaking of completely free, by the way, this video does have a sponsor, and Sponsor Mug is here to tell you about it because this video sponsor is Asphalt Legends. Asphalt Legends, the legendary arcade racing series, is celebrating its 20th anniversary, and they're going all out. For those of you that don't know, Asphalt is the definitive multi-platform arcade racer, offering iconic cars and locations all in a package with top-notch racing that you can play right now on PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, or PC through Steam or whatever mobile device you have, and all of it with cross-progression. And this is the perfect time to jump in, because not only are they celebrating their 20th anniversary, but also the Ferrari Esport Asphalt series, with the qualifiers ongoing and the finals coming up on the 16th of November, and you can watch it live on the Asphalt Legends YouTube channel. And in the spirit of celebration, from October 27th to November 3rd, you can win prizes. You can't take home an actual Ferrari, but you can take home some pretty cool things. From gaming laptops to goodies, all by just signing up with your in-game ID with the link below. Asphalt is a great arcade racing series, and after 20 years, Ferrari and Asphalt want to celebrate with you. Race online, watch some top-tier competition, and take home prizes, all using the link below or the QR code on screen right now. So to keep it simple, if you want some top-notch, fun arcade racing that reminds you of some of the better games of the past in the genre, check the link down below, and thanks to Asphalt for sponsoring this video. All right, so here's the thing. The new Xbox, not an Xbox. The new Xbox is a Windows PC that runs Xbox, so it's kind of an Xbox. What we know about this new console is that it will be more expensive than current consoles, and in exchange for that, it will be a PC. This comes with a lot of interesting questions, and we have answers to a lot of them. Does that mean that it comes with all the downsides of Windows? The bloatware, the advertisements, the having to install and update your drivers and having things break for no reason? Well, theoretically, hopefully not, because what they're planning is for the next console to be an Xbox if you want it to. If you just set it up out of the box, it's just going to feel like an Xbox. It's going to be locked into the Xbox ecosystem, and it'll play all Xbox games. That means that it will play back to OG Xbox games that have been patched to be compatible with the current Xbox series, like a real Xbox, not like the ROG Ally that can't do that. That's a pretty big thing for game preservation in general, and it's appreciated. You're telling me that I could play Otogi by From Software on this thing, which is impossible to emulate. That sounds pretty good to me, but if you wanted to flip the switch, the user could opt into just unlocking Windows 11. And at that point, it's a PC. First question that comes to mind probably for a lot of people is, are they still going to charge you for multiplayer on Xbox at that point? Because obviously, if you could just turn your Xbox into a PC, why would you buy an Xbox game that requires you to pay for online when you could just flip the switch, download Steam, buy it on Steam, and not have to pay anything? This is what I'm talking about when I say that these things could be very beneficial to customers. Microsoft inviting this level of competition means that they need to adapt to be better to the competition that they're not just inviting, but allowing anybody to install onto their next console. And yes, that probably includes the fact that there's nothing stopping you from just going to certain websites and obtaining your games in different ways. And here's the thing, they are aware of that. Piracy is an issue that has always been present within video games. And if they're gonna start selling you a PC, they know that's a possibility. So if they're not dumb, they need to offer services that are better than that. Or at least that's how it usually works. All right, so interesting. Now, from a position of the market, it's a super premium device. It's something for the power user, if you wanted to call it that. Just a person who's willing to drop over $1,000 on a console. But in exchange, it's a different type of console. It's an open ecosystem in the sense that it's a PC. But here's the interesting thing. That's not necessarily a bad thing. The real question here is if it's going to sell, if it's actually something that people want. Now, according to the recent Xbox Series revenue, no, people don't want to buy an Xbox. And according to the, reaction to Game Pass and all of that, people don't feel so hot about Microsoft in general, and deservedly so. But as a concept, I think it's pretty solid because it ideally would come with all the benefits that a console entails, except it's not a closed-off ecosystem. In other words, Xbox is getting into the game of selling a PC. Now, I don't know when was the last time somebody checked about specific PC configs or a specific brand of pre-built PC being the best-selling one. But I'm pretty sure that the PC market doesn't work like that. You're looking for like the most common spec, it's probably some laptop. The next-gen Xbox console would mean Microsoft becomes the biggest distributor of actual pre-built PCs. But theoretically, because they are ordering these things and building them in bulk and they get their deals with AMD, it's going to be considerably cheaper than a comparable PC that isn't pre-built, meaning that there is some advantage to people looking to get into PC gaming or just want an Xbox, but don't want to go whole hog on building their own PC or spending $3,500. And obviously the biggest benefit of it all is that if you have a spec of PC that is the most common, not only can developers still optimize for this spec within the Xbox ecosystem, but you would assume that a lot of games on Steam or Epic Game Store or wherever else would also be heavily optimized for a very particular, very popular configuration, ideally eliminating some of that hassle. My biggest fear here is that this console will be a jack of all trades and master of none. In a perfect world, this is what people wanted from the Steam box. This is a pretty good, not even entry level, but mid-level PC with some benefits attached to it that's very appealing to a lot of people. The reality, however, can be that it's not strong enough for PC gamers, it's too strong and too expensive and not optimized enough for console gamers and too complicated even. And in the middle of all of that, it's a complete failure. But as I usually say on the channel, just because it's very probable that they can screw this up, it doesn't mean the idea's bad, because in the end, the console war wouldn't be ending because Halo goes to PS5. The console war would be ending because PC won. What a surprise. As if we weren't already building pretty much every single video game in existence to work on PC spec. Now, honestly, the main reason I think the whole thing is pretty solid is because from years ago, Phil Spencer has been saying that he was open to opening the Xbox ecosystem and allowing things like Steam and Epic Games Store to be available. It turns out, and I know this might be crazy, some people might not have connected the dots, especially over at Microsoft, but you don't need to bring Steam over to Xbox if you can just make Xbox be Windows. If you just make it, there you go. Congrats. Funnily enough, that doesn't mean that Xbox becomes irrelevant for people who are in the ecosystem or care about some of their newer projects like Xbox Play Anywhere, which is their whole shtick now. You can play the games on the next-gen console, you can play it on the ROG Ally, you can play it on your phone, and if they could, you could play it on your PS5. And I've said many times that I think that a lot of this cloud gaming stuff is just an excuse to find new ways to charge us for games and tell us we don't own them and put in more microtransactions, but at the same time, competition is good. It's the way that we get better products. But they're still trying to make that appealing to developers, both on the side of Game Pass and on the side of just putting your games on the Xbox ecosystem for the native closed system that they control, because Steam takes a 30% cut from developers, and Xbox, despite demanding that 30% but as a profit margin for the department, is charging developers only 12%. So a lot of developers are going to be enticed not to be exclusive, but to at least optimize their games and release them natively on Xbox, especially if there's no real difference from PC. If you're releasing on Steam at that point, you just release on Xbox as well. Now, a lot of what I'm saying is also kind of touched on by the comments made by Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft, who said that, "Don't forget that the biggest gaming business in the world is Windows gaming," which, true, and he did acknowledge that Steam is the reason for that. It's just that they want a cut of that pie now. And he compared Xbox gaming and the Xbox as an app to Office, in the sense that he wants it available on everything, and a very PR-trained, we just want to make sure the game is enjoyed by gamers everywhere, alluding to you can play it on a Fire Stick, you can play it on PC, you can play it on your phone, you can Xbox Play Anywhere. And he did bring up an interesting point that has also been kind of springing up in the news a bit. Some comments from the OG Xbox team mentioning how important it was for them to not be Microsoft, to not be involved with Windows, to be away from a lot of the issues that Windows caused for customers. Despite that, Nadella did say, and I think a lot of people are glossing over this, that things like the Xbox were invented in order to be a better PC for gaming, a dedicated machine for gaming that offered better performance in that regard and a better experience to the user if all you wanted to do was game, and especially a better budget. Now, that seems to be kind of betrayed by the potential of the prices of the new Xbox, but hey, it could be worse. And Microsoft gaming, or Windows gaming, or formerly Xbox, or who knows what they're called, being portrayed here as the happy-go-lucky upstart that just wants everybody to have a good time, Nadella reinforced the comments that Matt Booty made a week ago, talking about how the real competition is short-form video. Again, as I said in the intro, sounds really dumb on paper. But he has this nice little message of gaming's competition is not other gaming. All gaming should band together or something, which, come on. He's focusing on the fact that what we're really fighting for, at least from the perspective of gaming, is for people's attention. Sure, at the end he throws in a comment about how you need good profit margins because that's the way you can fund and innovate in new ideas, and sure, and firing a lot of people too, I guess. Let's pretend that they're not companies that want money. Let's pretend they're not greedy for just a minute. And let's take it back to that idea of people's attention, and I do think that they are 100% right. I've said it before on the channel, but when this channel was considerably smaller, which, by the way, thanks for making the channel not as small. It's kind of crazy, but I appreciate it. But I've said that the most valuable thing today is people's attention. That is the true commodity. In the age of short form TikToks and having people bust out their phones while watching a movie, in the age of algorithms that place things in front of you that you want to interact with over and over and over again to get your attention for one reason or another, be that to collect your data, to push advertisements in front of you, or to just get you to spend money on things. It's your attention that is the most valuable thing. It's why when I make videos, my number one priority is to make sure that I'm always offering something of value to you, that I'm not babbling on and talking about things that don't matter. I'm doing that now, right? I'm sorry. And I think that in that context, they're right. They really are. People are more tired and less invested, and they just want rapid disposable content that fills their brain with dopamine just a little bit more every day. And the way that the world is trending isn't going to alleviate that, because it's not seeming to offer the regular customer a lot of security in their life and how they feel and what they do. And in a world of uncertainty, committing is almost a sin. But you do need to commit to video games. That's part of their magic. It's about getting immersed in it. It's about experiencing the art and the passion, the artistry behind what you are experiencing. And there are things that I believe video games should do to adapt to this current climate. Look, I'll say it. It's going to be a controversial statement, I know, but I don't really like loading screens, man. A loading screen to me today, and sure, maybe it's because I have brain rot too or something, but a loading screen today to me is an opportunity to check my phone for email. It's an opportunity to open social media. Is it my fault that I open my phone? Of course, but if the game didn't have loading screens, I wouldn't even have the opportunity to break away from that immersion. So is that an objective improvement that games could have? Yes, at least from my perspective. So does that mean that games should be put on like a Netflix streaming platform and I can just press a button and with no install required, a game just goes? I mean, maybe, but I also like owning my games. So, I mean, as long as they respect that, they can try their crazy ideas as much as they want. But my point still remains. What we're fighting for is attention. Games need to be compelling to people and built on the foundation of offering people something that they really want to invest their time in. Where I think that I and a lot of chief executives over at a lot of companies differ is that I think that even if a game has loading screens, if the game is really damn good, people will give it 100% of their attention and truly enjoy it. I think that if a game is enjoyable, and for example, a multiplayer game, people will dedicate 5-6 hours of their day to playing a game and just enjoying that experience without having their brain be destroyed by constant ads on TikTok or something. So as much as on the surface this comment seems dumb, I do think that video games are competing, but not just against short form video. They're competing against everything. They're competing against anything out there that you would give your time. And we are more picky than ever as customers because we have more and more options, no matter how much certain companies try and limit those in order for us to, be content with slop. We have options. And because we are picky, we don't want to give our time to bad things. We don't want to give time to things that we don't enjoy unless it's something that allows us to turn our brain off, like a good session of scrolling on TikTok, I guess, or Reels or whatever. So it's not a dumb idea. I just think that the lesson they're going to learn from that is not the one I want, because it's not going to be to differentiate it and improve the value of games to compete. It's going to be more literal in trying to make games directly compete with that, because come on, we all see it coming, right? Like, does anybody expect them to actually dig deep and find a solution to this? Come on, 30% profit margin Microsoft? I don't think so, man. But at the same time, and amidst a million layoffs and Game Pass increases and studios shuttered or sold, all because they're pursuing that 30% profit margin, I have to give credit where it's due. And I have to say that this month of October, Xbox kind of hit it out of the park. But in case you don't want my small reviews of Keeper, Ninja Gaiden 4, and The Outer Worlds, let me conclude what we can learn from Xbox's / Windows Gaming's future plan. Xbox is dead, but it's being preserved, at least so that those backwards compatible games are still a thing, and because they're still trying to hold on, which I think is smart, to the idea of a console experience where people don't have to deal with updating Windows drivers, but it's also a Windows machine, so they'll still probably have to do that, and that's going to be one of the key points where it fails. When an Xbox blue screens, that's gonna be viral. But Xbox has given up. They're going to be a hardware manufacturer in the literal sense that they're going to manufacture hardware, but they're not going to be another console competitor. Console wars are actually over. Xbox is basically saying that they want to be a big publisher and that they intend to find success by being the first ones to create a platform that makes games as accessible as possible. And if that doesn't work out, if Xbox Play Anywhere and xCloud isn't the solution to the problem, then at least they'll just publish games and put them out in places and just hope for those games to be profitable. Maybe too profitable, but I guess they'll learn or keep shutting down studios. In any case, I don't think that the idea of a dedicated spec, widely available, even popular PC is bad for the PC market. And this is Xbox bowing their heads down and saying, we're losing, so we're just gonna give you what you want. And hopefully, if that just means it's a good hardware deal for people who want a PC, it might do well enough. And in the end, in my opinion, the more people that are dedicated to gaming, that really enjoy it and jump into the PC market, preferably at a more affordable price point, the better, because there's really no better or worse. I mean, it used to be way, way, way worse. Don't get me wrong, but there's really no better experience for gamers than PC gaming. It's about the marketplaces, it's about the freedom, it's about mods and fan games, it's about the indies that never get properly released on consoles. It's a whole host of things, not to mention the fact that it's a PC. You can do more with it than game if you so choose. And if they're gonna sell you a computer that if you never press the button is just a console, that sounds pretty good to me as well, because it gives the customer the freedom that if they ever did want to do something else with it, it's right there. I just don't think that's an easy thing to market and sell, but again, doesn't mean the product itself is a bad idea. I have zero faith in them pulling this off, by the way, just gotta leave it on the record. But I do think it is an interesting perspective, and it definitely shows that this is where gaming is headed. It's about open platforms, it's about playing games the way you choose, and it's about connecting it between everyone. So yeah, PC gaming kind of won, and I guess PlayStation is there too for the people that just want PlayStation. But I mean, I just want Sony to make good games and like release more than one a year or something. That would be great, man. Is anybody else excited for Kirby Air Riders? I hate Nintendo with a passion, but like, it's Sakurai. Anyways, I was saying, Ninja Gaiden 4 is one of my favorite games of this year. It is absolutely awesome, man. It is a roller coaster. It is everything that I want in a typical character action game from the good old days. And in case it's not clear from like my backgrounds and stuff, I am a huge fighting game fan and a very, very big like old school Devil May Cry fan. Unfortunately, Ninja Gaiden 4 might be a little bit too much Devil May Cry 4 because it does do the dual protagonist thing in a very similar way to Devil May Cry 4, better than that. But man, is it just a type of game that I've been missing, and I feel like Platinum Games nailed it, and it feels like Ninja Gaiden. It could be a bit more open. It's quite linear as a game, but it's just a roller coaster ride, and it is so much fun and somehow very fresh because we don't get a lot of these anymore. I think I still prefer the Bayonetta series as my favorite in the whole thing. And when it comes to Ninja Gaiden specifically, I just think Black is a very unique game with a very unique atmosphere that I enjoy. And Ninja Gaiden 2 has a lot of charm as well, but it's definitely better than 3. And I think it's maybe even better than 2, but I'm going to have to rest on that. But if you like some really good action combat, just fighting bosses and killing enemies and basic navigation of stuff and just mastering a ton of weapons and mechanics, man, is Ninja Gaiden 4 awesome. As another mini review, Keeper. Now, Keeper's only about 4 hours long, and I did not finish it. I played it for 2 hours, and then I got distracted with some stuff that I had to do for the channel. So, however, if the second half of it is like the first half of it, Keeper is really good. Keeper's a keeper. It's kind of a walking sim, and it's Double Fine, but it's beautiful, and the experience of walking through it can be very, very interesting. I think that it's a great experience, and well, I don't think that it's the type of game that I would say, hey, go out of your way to buy. It might be something that I say pick up on a sale, enjoy on a Sunday afternoon. I definitely think that a lot of what Keeper is has snuck under the radar, and if you have Game Pass still, maybe you haven't canceled it, hasn't ticked over, you're a person who uses it a lot, so you didn't cancel when the price went up, go check out Keeper. It's really good. And the biggest surprise of them all, for me, is The Outer Worlds 2, which I've only got like 8 hours in it, all right? I'm still making my way through it, and I really have started enjoying it a bit later into that 8 hours. But so far, the impressions I can give on it is, it has some of the things that I liked about Avowed when it comes a bit to like the world design and how some of the loot works, and like some of the mobility and some of the more cheeky things of it not feeling like it's a Bethesda engine that's just broken all the time, but without the flaws of Avowed, which means that it's way more of an RPG that I'm invested in, that I care about, that I feel my decisions have consequences and they're interesting, at least for the most part. And I think that the atmosphere of what they were going for, The Outer Worlds 1 is not my favorite game. I think it's a pretty decent game. I enjoyed it for what it was. It's a shorter experience and all of that. I would rank it above Avowed, but I'm very, very divided on the things that I like about Avowed. Like, it's a game that for the few things I like, I think are very good, and then the rest of it I really dislike. I think The Outer Worlds is a better all-around experience. I feel like The Outer Worlds 2 is the best one of these that Obsidian has done right from the word go. It's really good, to be honest, and I'm having a good time. Maybe it all sours later down the road, but it's striking that like space Fallout vibe in a way that's cool and authentic, and it has everything that you'd expect from that. So I definitely recommend The Outer Worlds 2 so far. Might have a dedicated video on it later on. We'll see. But it's kind of impressive that finally all of these investments and gigantic things that Xbox has cooked up that never seem to like really crack. They always seem to like put out like 7 out of 10s with a lot of their studios when they're not putting out the Redfalls. Seem to finally have coalesced into something that's more on the 8.5 to 9 range of good releases that are all coming out and all on Game Pass. You could even throw in Indiana Jones, which I haven't gotten to, but a lot of people really praise. And right when they finally hit that stride, yeah, no more Xbox. In any case, I've been Mug. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you were informed about the things that are happening and my perspective on them. And I hope that that perspective was unique and informative, hopefully even entertaining. If that was the case, you know what to do. Hit the like button if you liked the video. And if you didn't, subscribe, and that way you get a lot more of it. 2 extra special thanks for this video. 1 to the members of The Wall, the people that directly support the channel, be that on Patreon or here on YouTube as member. I am eternally grateful, and if you want to get up on The Wall, check down below in the description. And another extra special thanks to Asphalt Legends for sponsoring this video. More on them in the pinned comment or the description. Thank you so very much, and as always, I'll see you again very soon.